This is now episode 3. We've covered some pretty good shows so far, so we're going to keep it going with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for a
Great
classic.
show.
We're going to look at a Disney Plus series coming out, The Mandalorian, which is a Star Wars show. But first, we're going to start with something that's probably even more confusing than Game of Thrones. Season 2 of Westworld. So I don't even know where to start with that one, but I feel like before we dive into maybe the confusing details, maybe just an overall, like, do you like the show? Favorite parts about it?
Yeah. Wow. HBO is wild. They have no boundaries. They just do whatever they want. And usually it works out because they have some pretty amazing content. Westworld's crazy. I feel like the first time I watched Westworld, I was like, this is a lot to like handle. And then you get into it and you're like, you forget that it's like a crazy premise and you're trying to follow it and all this stuff. And but yeah, at first I was like, this show is pretty intense, and then you get used to it. It's pretty good. But definitely a unique like whole thing that they're posing there with morality, and just is that the kind of thing that you would people would want to do, and human nature and all this stuff with the a world where you can kind of do whatever you want. It's intense.
The only limit here is your imagination. You start in the center of the park. It's simple, safe. The further out you venture, the more intense the experience gets. How far you want to go is entirely up to you.
Yeah. Yes, I like it.
My answer was as crazy as the show is.
I'm constantly confused by it. I was just saying to you, it's a show I need to watch and then say, did you watch Westworld? Okay, so what happened?
Yeah. Or do a good Google on a couple things. And
it's very confusing. I find myself, so there's been like 20 episodes through the 2 seasons. I think 15 of them, I'm like, I'm not sure what just happened. But it's actually kind of cool because then once you kind of think about it and you're like, oh, I wonder, and then you try and figure it out, you like go along, and I'm sure we'll get into it. Spoiler alerts.
Oh, sure.
But
we should have put that in the title sequence.
Spoiler alert.
just every show we have, stream it as a spoiler alert.
When they had the reveal of there being separate timelines, I was like, okay, things fall right into place, but at the same time, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And then they furthered that in the second season.
Yeah, that show specifically has a lot of like, moments when you're just like, that's what's going on. Like when they revealed that it was multiple timelines and like one character is actually just an older version of another character or whatever. So, I think that's what a lot of people like about this show specifically is how many like wow moments they end up pulling out, just because it's like such a crazy premise. There's so many places they can go with it, and it's like just always on that like edge of your seat, like what is gonna happen with it, so.
Yeah, I think being confused almost like adds to it.
Like
I'm kind of okay.
You get that clarity.
Yeah, I'm okay with not understanding 9 of the episodes as long as in the 10th one I'm like, oh, okay. I got it.
Cool.
And I feel like that shows how good the writing is, that if it was just confusing and like everyone was kind of like, oh, I guess that made sense, like that would just be bad writing, but like they can make it so confusing on purpose and then tie it all together in a way that you were like, I wouldn't have even thought of that.
Right.
That happened like last season and now it concluded just now.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So as a starting question, this is just something I think about because a lot of my friends really, really love Westworld and have not seen Game of Thrones. And I think that Westworld came out when Game of Thrones was still coming out and like really hot. And I feel like, in my opinion, it kind of overshadowed Westworld because they already had this huge hit and then a second one tried to come out. So do you think that it has the right amount of like appreciation in fans, or do you think that if it came out after Game of Thrones, it would be like HBO's second big thing?
I think it's it's a summer show.
Yeah.
I think that might actually add to it, but I think Game of Thrones definitely overshadowed it. And when it did come out, that was like the peak of Game of Thrones. That was like seasons 4 and 5. Like,
Yeah. I feel like they were so far apart though, those Game of Thrones seasons, that you like wanted something in the middle.
That's true.
Like I felt like I loved that Westworld came out because I could watch it and I was like, check this out, it's great. And
yeah.
I think it's appropriate, the amount of I think Game of Thrones is a little more epic, but I wouldn't say, like, they're both really good in their own right, you know. So I think just Westworld is great, but I don't know, maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's got an appropriate amount of.
I wonder if the confusing storyline.
I think that's more it rather than the overshadowing.
Some people are like, I don't want to deal with this. I know, like, for a fact, my dad in the second season, I was like, have you been watching Westworld? And he was just like, yeah. But I think he just like was losing interest because it's hard to follow.
Yeah.
And someone, you know, he's not like savvy on computers and stuff, so he's not like going and seeing like reading an article like, so explain that to me. Like, explain what Dolores was doing at this point and stuff like that. So
right. I think it's maybe a bit more of a niche show as far as like some people may not want to have like this deep in depth, like that's not their kind of viewing experience that they want. They want it a little bit more laid out and easy watching, I guess. This is definitely one of those shows that you gotta like pay attention and like there's a lot to it and almost analyze as you're watching, you know, and like I don't think that's everyone's like cup of tea. It's almost like too much, but for the right people, it's great.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think even like the content of it can be a lot to like take sometimes.
Yeah.
Like some episodes, like I feel like it takes place in the future, but it connects like a little close to like how the world actually is, and like the whole like human nature is like selfish, and like if we could, like we would be these awful people, like if there was no restrictions. And I feel like someone like my mom would probably be like, I don't want to think about that.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I just want to watch TV.
Well, it's funny because in the first like 2 episodes, it's like one of those things like, oh, that's a crazy concept. Imagine that. Would you go? Like, and then it starts to like flip and like the story really starts to develop.
Yeah.
But like the first couple scenes, you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like,
right, it's almost like a video game or
Yeah, it's
something.
Like Red Dead Redemption
Yeah.
or something.
It's like, this would be sweet, and then you start to watch it and you're like, oh, but people are like
yeah, they're like,
crazy.
yeah.
And like I would almost want to go and just like not touch the weapons, just like hang out and like be in the Wild West and like go for a horseback ride. Like that would be awesome.
Or like
go
kind of
camping, like
protect yourself if a ruffian comes in. You're like, okay, this is just a host.
Yeah.
I'm okay here.
Yeah.
hey buddy, get
Kick him.
Yeah,
Kick him out of the saloon
Right.
swinging doors.
I don't even know. I just think the like landscape of it's cool, but yeah, then it gets into all like the darkness that can come of it, and that can be a lot to take. And then obviously, like that's kind of what I was leading with, was then they have these great storylines about you know, all the different things that are going on in Westworld that you kind of get attached to, and you kind of forget that it's like a crazy premise with the humanity piece. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think as soon as like the hosts start to like, you find out that they actually like have real feelings. Like Maeve, I feel like is the first one that you really. Why does Dolores too? But like she's like the first one that's really like genuine and like compassionate, because she like remembers her daughter. And I feel like as soon as that starts happening, like you even forget that they're the hosts, because they're the main characters. So
right, I think kudos to the show for. I feel like they kind of start you off. Like first it's like a desensitizing to the hosts. They like say that they're not real, right? Then you kind of like get to know Dolores and some of the other characters, and you're like, I kind of feel bad for the hosts in this show. And then they start becoming like a little bit more conscious, or they hint at that consciousness, and then they're like, you really start feeling bad for them, because it's like, wait, they're remembering like dying or whatever it is, like that's horrible. And then they start fighting back, and then you're like, well, now I feel bad for the humans, because they're like, they're getting set up here. And so the fact that they can do that kind of, you know, play with your emotions and take the viewer on that ride is like.
I think that goes back to what you were saying about the writing. It's just so well thought out, like the character arcs of everyone. How in like season 1, you were saying Maeve starts to notice, and she starts turning on the two programmers, like threatening them, forces Bernard to change her like coding so that she can pretty much function on her own.
Yeah.
But by like the end of the second season, she is solely worried about her daughter.
Yeah.
And then it's actually kind of the reverse for Dolores. She has her dad. She's sad, and by the end of season 2, she's just killing everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely have an angle going on where you're always confused, or like not confused. Well, sometimes you're confused, but you never know what the outcome of a scene is going to be because you have all of the like. A host could just, if they're like dead, they could wake up and like there's like no rules because it's all this crazy world. So every scene you go into, your expectations are like nothing. You have no idea what's going to happen, and then that's probably a big allure of the show is that you're constantly like on edge, you know, because anything can happen with this scenario. So.
And I think in like the second season, as soon as they like opened up to the other worlds, like other than Westworld, when suddenly like the Shogun one is in it.
Yeah.
And then you don't know like when they're gonna start connecting again, because like even there's like a Jundle one that they show very briefly where like the tiger ends up in Westworld. So then it's really just opening up of like
Right.
anything could happen.
Yeah.
And, like there's new characters coming in. Yeah. And I think that also will like obviously make it so that they could have a lot more successful seasons after. Because they still, when we watched the recap video, they said there's like 3 other worlds we haven't even seen yet.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting.
Yeah, so they brought in the Asian, like the samurai and geisha world, and then the Native American storyline really opened up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot they can do.
Yeah. And I think it's also cool. Sorry, I had to look.
Sorry.
That who you're rooting for kind of depends on like the perspective you're taking, because we have like 3 main groups of like Dolores and her little posse, Maeve and like her friends and some of the coders, and then like the company, I think it's Delos or something.
Yeah.
So like it could just be the character that you like the most that you want to win, but it is also kind of like, I mean, the humans are awful. Do I want Dolores to succeed, or like, do I want like good to win, or?
You're like, wait a minute, I'm a human.
Yes, but it's like sometimes when Dolores is like killing all of them, you're like, yeah, like, go, do it, and then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
That's the hard part to discern is like where you know who's the good guy in this show, you know. That's what I was saying, that it takes you on that roller coaster. I feel like I like Bernard the best, but half like sometimes you don't even know like where he actually lands.
He's like,
you know, you're like, is he a host? Is he a human? Was he a human? And now he's a host.
Defeated. I think that's why you're like drawn to him. He's just like
but he also like he's that like moral host. So he's like the happy medium. I feel like that's kind of, we like the premise, we like the like whole situation, but we don't want like, you know, the brutality of Dolores or Delos or whatever. So Bernard's kind of that middle ground. So that's probably why I draw to him. But
yeah, I would say it's interesting because at the beginning you like really like William. Yeah. And then, huge spoiler alert, when you find out he turns out to be the man in the black hat and he hates everyone, you're like, oh, it got to him. And he,
big time. So, he's been there for years. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. But I would say,
or in and out of there for years.
It's I don't know. I don't even know if I have a favorite character because, like, Dolores is, like, at times, like you were saying, it's like, go get him. But then you're like, okay, you're going a little too far. Like, you're doing, it's like one of those things, she's just doing exactly what they were doing to her.
Yeah. I like William's character because I feel like he's, like, trying to, like, beat the system. Like, and I don't know, it's like become his world to beat it, but he knows what it is, so it's kind of strange. And then like now it seems like he's just destined to be like trapped in it, like it's completely overcome him. So I'm curious to see, I think at the end of that season he's not maybe all the way gone. He did have the like shootout, so I'm curious to see like what actually happens with him.
Now that host that they were like trying to recreate, that was his father-in-law, right? That was in the glass room that he kept visiting, and he would glitch. And
Yes.
that was his father-in-law, right?
Yeah.
The owner of the company, though.
Right.
also.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get his consciousness
Right.
into a host, and it wasn't working. Correct?
Yeah. It
Yes.
kept glitching,
Yeah.
and that's what the problem was they were trying to get that. Okay.
Right.
I just
Now-
remember seeing it on the recaps, and I was like, I know this guy.
Now,
is
at the
connected.
end, were they trying to say that William was put into a host?
So a lot of like the humans were, but we didn't know exactly like who, like which humans were actually successfully copied, I think. But I
Yeah.
think it's like the last thing that Dolores does when she comes back is like Tessa Thompson's character. I think she does something, and then we don't know exactly what she did, and then she leaves. And then I think the after credit scene was to show that like she like copied some of the people.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
kind of confused me.
We were just watching. They had her purse had they called it like the brain orbs or whatever,
Yeah.
and they said there were 5. So they were. I think it's what 5? Because
There are they're the host's consciousnesses in those orbs.
yes,
Right.
yeah. So they were thinking? William, Arnold, Maeve,
Charlotte.
Charlotte,
Yeah.
and then what was Ford? Was that one of them? I know he's been gone for a little bit, but the creator, Anthony Hopkins from the
Yeah.
first season.
Could be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's what you're supposed to count 5 and say, well, Dolores, she's there. Like,
Right.
that's Tessa Thompson at that point.
Right.
So,
The way I kind of feel like that there's 5 like brains in the purse,
exactly.
and then the rest of them got uploaded to that Eden place.
Yes.
So anyone that was ever created, or a human that's consciousness was able to get transferred, could be in this digital world. That's a whole nother layer that like we don't know about, which is just crazy. And then Dolores's thing was she didn't want to be in this world. She didn't want to be in the digital world. She wanted to be in the real world and take over the humans. So it is a lot to sort through, though.
I think I just remembered. I'm pretty sure that one of the brains was definitely Charlotte because remember in the end, Dolores is back in her own body, but Charlotte is still there.
With Bernard.
Yeah, she doesn't like talk or anything, but she's like hanging out in the background. So, but I guess we don't know if that's actually Charlotte because she was like trying to kill Dolores. So how would that work? But it kind of shows a little in the season 3 trailer, which we can watch later. But
Yeah.
Cool.
it makes no sense.
Yeah, watch Westworld season 2 twice.
I actually think before season 3, we'll watch season 2 again.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fire it up.
I have a good grasp on season 1.
Or even just the last like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Yeah.
So then, real quick, too, do you guys remember episode 8 with the Ghost Nation? It was specifically just them.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk about that real quick because I only finished this morning, season 2.
Nice.
So it's very fresh in my head, so I have
Good.
a bit of an advantage. But I think that was such a good episode. Like, even just for any show, I think, because they tied together the storyline of Maeve and her daughter. We always thought the Ghost Nation people were the ones that were trying to kill them all throughout season 1 whenever she'd flash back. We find out that he also knew that they were in like a simulation, which we thought it was just Dolores and Maeve. Like they tied together so many storylines in such a beautiful episode too.
Yeah.
And didn't they, back to the, he kind of knew the simulation, he told someone he hadn't died in like 100 and something days.
Oh, yeah.
Or,
He didn't have the update when he
Right.
goes in one day and they're like,
yeah. And they realized he hadn't died, the leader of the Ghost Nation. And
Yeah.
it was just like, and they were all like, how is that possible? And it's such a cool little wrinkle, like that's how he's still,
Yeah.
he has consciousness and stuff because he's just never been worked on. He has
Right,
like
right,
the
right.
old software in his head.
And then you find out that he has Maeve's daughter, but it's to like take care of her, and then you see like in the last 10 seconds that Maeve is like talking to him through like her
Right, because
head.
she becomes telekinetic towards other
She's like
hosts.
11 in Westworld.
Yeah.
Like,
It's and they also reveal that the Ghost Nation used to be peaceful, and they changed their story. They used to be a peaceful tribe.
Yeah, it's coming back to me slowly.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember
I watched it when it first came out.
that was one of those episodes where like it starts on the Ghost Nation, and then like 20 minutes in, you're like, oh, they're going full on Ghost Nation this whole time.
Is that the episode that ends in the shootout, or
No.
That was a different one.
This one just ends with he's telling, the whole episode is him telling the story to Maeve's daughter.
Yeah,
And then it
yeah,
ends
yeah.
with Maeve like talking to him when she's getting like
Right.
taken apart.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the next episode that ends in the shootout.
Got it.
I feel like a lot of them end in shootouts.
Yeah, season 2 got real bloody real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I thought, do you guys want to watch the season 3 trailer?
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
Now
Sounds
that we've
great.
talked
I didn't
about
even know
it.
that it was out yet.
It's not going to make things any easier to understand. It's just going to get worse.
Perfect.
We all have our role to play. There are machines in this world, but not like us. You and I have no mother, no father. We're alone, outnumbered. We have to be smarter than them, or they'll find us. And they will kill us. I'm gonna show this world for what it really is.
Why'd she bring you back? Ford made each of us for a reason. Even Dolores. I came back to find someone who could help me. Someone strong enough to stop her if it comes to that.
These violent delights have violent ends.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
I thought your world would be so different from mine.
Keep smiling,
There isn't any difference at all, is there?
just like you always do, till the blue skies
It
drop
won't take much to bring it all crashing down.
far away.
I have no idea what I just watched.
So we're in like 2070 and Nazi Germany. And
Unbelievable.
who knows what Bernard's doing? That was crazy.
Jesse was in it?
Yeah.
Poor Aaron Paul. It always seems like he's just like a victim. He's always getting used.
Yeah. Wow.
It'll be odd if one of the other worlds is Nazi Germany. Like if that's one of the other
Right.
invading
Oh,
parts.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah, like where Maeve's body at the end of the last season was just on the beach, right? With the programmers looking over.
Yeah.
Wow. What a weird place to.
Maybe she gets put back into
A world.
a world and then has to
Get out.
again. And she's such a strong character that she's the one that can stop Dolores. But she's going to
Yep.
start from the bottom. Now she's here.
But it seemed
just gut
didn't,
reactions.
didn't seem like she was at the bottom. It seemed like she was walking
Well,
right
yeah,
through.
I mean, she's a boss no matter what, but
No,
I'm
I-
saying being put back into a host in a world
Right.
where then she has to gain consciousness,
Right.
get out of the world, find Dolores. Dolores is already off and running.
I bet that's how the two programmers who were with her throughout season 2, I bet that's how they justify like bringing her back, is like they can't be suspicious, so they bring her back, but she's just like a regular host that'll be put in another world.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like the company would like catch on and be like, oh, she's still Maeve, like she's
Yeah.
still smart, but maybe that's them like cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that was confusing. Which I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect anything else. Like, it seemed like Dolores was just like out in the world, but so was Charlotte. But they were the same person at the end of the season.
It almost seemed
That's what you were
like
saying. They did switch.
they switch.
back.
I know that at least Dolores definitely goes back to her old body, but then like it showed her like helping her get her shirt on. So maybe like she's not like a fully like Charlotte. Maybe she isn't like a fully functioning robot yet, because she was like helping her.
And they showed the little brain orbs, and
Yeah.
it looked like there were only 4 in that, and not the 5 that were in the.
I also said, why did you bring you back? And I don't know. Just a lot of.
We're on to something.
And Aaron Paul's there. Aaron Paul's added to it.
All right. Do you guys have any concluding thoughts on Westworld?
I'm just excited for that next season
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Coming soon, I think.
Yeah, it said you wrote down 2020. Is that just like they said it'll be out
I
next
think
year?
they said 2020, but it is a summer show actually, so maybe it'll be in the summer.
Yeah, maybe. But they don't have to contend with Game of Thrones in the spring.
true.
So
Maybe
maybe.
they'll push it up.
Hopefully, I mean, the trailer came out this past summer, and I feel like a year is a long time to wait after a trailer, so maybe it'll be
Yeah.
like January.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
All right, so we can take a quick break, and then we'll be back with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
The gang
See
takes
ya
a quick
soon.
break.
Yeah. We are back with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia now. I guess just start with overall impressions of the show. I feel like for me it was a big when I got to college. That's when I really started to watch it, because that was just what everyone put on when we were all hanging out. That was like a good show for that.
Yeah,
What about you guys?
that was my experience too. I always just like threw it on, or it was on TV, and I just stopped and like, before bed or something, just watch an episode. Yeah, it's just lighthearted, good,
Yeah.
funny comedy. Like, you never know what the gang's gonna be up to.
Yeah, I remember being in late high school and college, and you would actually always put it on. You were the first person I
was
saw
I?
put it on.
I guess I was an early adopter.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not into this show. All they do is yell at each other. And now I complete 180. I absolutely love it. It is so funny. And when you get, like, when you watch it and you're like, oh yeah, that's their shtick. Like, they write
Yeah.
it to always yell at each other. It's one of the funniest shows ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first time I like actually saw it was when my older brother was watching it, and I was really young at the time. Well, not like super young, but I was like, I don't get it. Like
Yeah.
it's a little inappropriate. So like at the time
Yeah.
I was like, I don't get the joke. Like what's so funny about this show? But yeah, as soon as I got to college and like tried it again, I was like, oh, this is why it's funny. Like
yeah.
you shouldn't be 10 and watching this because you won't get it. I think one of like my favorite parts about it, and like why I think it's so like just like a cool fun fact about it is like how it started with just like these friends who had this idea for a show and like recorded it on like a really bad little camera, like didn't pay anything for it. And just like it started with them having an idea of like, what if there were these friends who were just like awful to each other? And then that's literally what they pitched, and it just got picked up when they like recorded it on their phone or something. Like,
That is crazy. That's
Yeah.
a unique origin story.
yeah.
Even the open is the same open that they did on that terrible camcorder of them driving through Philly.
Oh yeah.
And it's just someone's in a one of them's driving, the other one is holding the camera, and they're just taking shots of Philly. And it's still like they drive by the Eagles Stadium, and it's just like
That's
yeah,
funny.
I looked it up and it said that 2 of them just had a short film idea where a friend goes over to another friend's house to ask for sugar. They find out that the friend who owns the house has cancer, but instead of like being there for them, they're just like, this is awkward. I just want the sugar and I want to get out of here. And I feel like that is just like, that could sum up the entire series.
exactly, yeah. 15 seasons later.
Yeah, they're just reckless and ridiculous.
It's still going too, right? It's
Yeah,
not over.
yeah. A new season just started like a couple weeks ago.
It's crazy.
Is it all the same cast still?
So Dennis has kind of left because he's in a show called AP Bio, I think.
That's right.
And but he's in. Last season, he was in like 5 episodes of the 10, and I don't know if he's going to do it again this year. Where he's not a full-time.
Got it.
What about Danny DeVito?
Still in every episode.
Okay.
So
That's
funny.
good. That's good.
Yeah, still in
Yeah,
every
the
episode.
cast is just wild.
I know.
There's such a like random assortment of Danny DeVito and like, oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's really funny. I think you wrote it down that he like. They said they went through the first season with pretty good success, and then they were like, "You should try and get a bigger name to draw it," and it was Danny DeVito as Frank Reynolds. It's like, how more perfect does it get than that?
Yeah, and I feel like half the like show's funniest moments are just him.
Mm-hmm.
Like every
Absolutely.
meme you
Yeah.
see is just him.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, they're just out of control. I feel like that, we're kind of talking about the difference between The Office, Parks and Rec, and how it's a little more like slapsticky almost. This is even another step in
Oh,
that
yeah.
direction of like slapsticky, a little more crude, just like ridiculous jokes and them just doing ridiculous things. So
The difference between basic and extended cable. It's just like
Yeah.
your typical like primetime network show to FX.
yeah.
So
And you wouldn't think that a show about characters that like are solely just ones that you love to hate would like make it as far as they did, because
yeah.
that like goes against everything that you'd expect out of a sitcom or like any TV show.
Right.
So it's impressive that they've lasted so long.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's and there's no like premise. There's no like underlying premise.
They just own
ever.
a bar and do stuff.
No episodes are connected, and then randomly they'll connect one. You're like, that was wicked funny because you called back something happens like
Yeah.
season 8.
What do you think has like caused it to last as long as it has?
I think just what you said, like what you and your friends did. I think that's what's the endearing thing about it is like pick season 3, episode 7, and you don't have to know anything about it, and you can just watch it and kind of mindlessly. But if you're really watching, it's super funny.
Yeah, I feel almost like it's almost relatable. They're just like average Joes. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not like not a super specific scenario or anything. It's just these people in Philly with the bar and like the things they go through on the daily and the jokes that come up and like it's just I feel like it's relatable to a lot of people, and then they just are ridiculous. So put those things together and it's a good draw for anyone.
Yeah.
A 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it turns out like Charlie Day became like a huge star from it, and it's like he was like
Yeah.
you had this group of friends, and then they turn out to be hysterical. Like,
Yeah.
who knows if they actually would have continued acting or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think too, like The Office and Parks and Rec, like a lot of the people the people who are in Sunny wrote it too. Like they're the writers
Yeah.
and the actors. And I feel like when you have a show, every show that has that formula is always so successful. There's
Yeah.
something about that
Yeah.
that just works because they're making sure that what they're saying is funny, and they also happen to be good actors.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also just like why, like, I don't know why, but it's probably why it's going so well and going
Yeah.
so long.
It's like authentic comedy.
Yeah.
Rather than something that was just written and someone's performing. It's like they like come up with it, they believe in it, they execute it the way that they thought it would be funny,
Yeah.
and it ends up working out.
You know, Fred Savage has directed most of the episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
like
have thought that.
Fred Savage from the Wonder Years. Like, it's just really funny.
That is cool.
That's like what he's done since acting, has been that kind of director for that.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Just a little fun fact.
Doesn't seem like that would be his like
Yeah.
genre at all.
Yeah. I actually think he was in an episode.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think they like noticed it was Fred Savage or something. I don't know.
I feel like I've watched it's this kind of show, but I feel like I've watched it so sporadically. I've probably seen a full season or two, and then just like most of the other pieces just like throughout. So it's kind of funny to like.
I think it's all on Hulu.
It is.
Up to last season, the whole thing's on
Oh,
Hulu.
I should fill in some of the ones I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite moment?
Wow.
You probably do more than
I think Charlie's my favorite character. I'll give you that. Just
Yeah.
the way his ridiculousness, the scenarios they put him in, and like how he reacts to stuff is just it gets me. So I'll go with that. But
There's a couple, like, there's so many just like I can think of now, but there's an episode called The Gang Solves the Oil Crisis, where their whole plan is to buy gasoline and put it in barrels and then sell it themselves at a lower price or a higher price. And they come up with, they're like, out of nowhere, they just come up with this thing where every group has a dynamic. And it's like, Dennis is the face, Frank's the bank,
oh yeah.
Max the muscle, and then Charlie's the wild card. And then at the end of the episode, they're driving with a van full of gas, and they can't stop. And Charlie yells, "Wild card!" Something else, and then jumps out the back of the van.
Oh my god.
It's that, and then there's an episode where Dee tells everyone she's pregnant, and to mess with the guy, you don't know it at the time, but to mess with the guys, that she's like, and one of you is the father, and all of them have their own perspective of a Halloween party at the bar.
I've seen that one.
It is so funny. And one of the funniest lines is everyone keeps saying, and then Frank was Spider-Man. Frank, you were there, you were Spider-Man. And then Frank's telling me he's like, you idiots are wrong. I wasn't Spider-Man, I was Man Spider. And it was just like, instead of like blue and red, he's just like a spider with a human head. It is so funny. So I would say one of those two.
Oh god.
I think mine is, I've seen this episode so many times at school, is the Charlie McDennis one.
Yeah.
The like drinking game. But it's so ridiculous and absurd. And at one point, somehow, like Charlie and Frank are a team, and they lose something, and Frank has to go in a dog cage.
Yeah.
And they're like, you have to eat like cake. And he's like, oh, okay, that's so easy. And they give him just cake ingredients. They're like, no, you have to eat the dry ingredients of a cake. And then you can come out. And I think just how they always call Dee a bird.
Yeah.
That just gets me every time.
Well, in that Halloween episode, they always say, and Dee was dressed as a bird, and she wasn't. She was like an angel or something. And by the end of it, they're like, shut up, Dee, you stupid bird. And it's an actual ostrich. It's just the best. There's so many. There's a scene that is so funny. Do you remember in True Detective? Did you see True Detective?
Yeah.
The Oneer?
Which one?
When Matthew McConaughey is with the biker gang.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like,
Unbelievable.
yes.
Yeah.
After that, Always Sunny had an episode called Charlie Work, and it's basically how Charlie keeps the bar running. It's like the whole joke is Charlie seems like an idiot. And the whole episode, once the health inspector come, it just turns into a oneer following Charlie around. It's so
I've seen that
incredibly done, but so funny because it's just, they're taking this amazing thing from True Detective and applying it to theirs. It's awesome.
I do remember that one. That's one of my favorites, yeah.
So they're funny, but also like genuinely good at what they do, which I feel like is why it's so impressive.
And relatable,
Yeah. And I feel like their writer's room just must be like them, like, hey, what if we did this?
Yeah.
And no one even like counters it. They're like, okay, and write it down.
Did you see there was a season where Mac got fat?
Yes.
Yeah.
He went into the writer's room and was like, I have an amazing idea. Let's all just get fat. Let's all just be huge and fat and gross for this season. And Dee, who is his wife, was like, no, I just had a baby. I'm not doing that again. And then Charlie and Dennis were both like, no, I don't want to get fat. And he was like, well, what if I get fat? And they were like, yeah, go for it. And he just did.
I didn't know for the longest time that wasn't fake. Like, I thought it was a suit he was wearing or something.
Yeah.
He, like, I guess, trained with, like, the trainers that provide the diet for the Eagles offensive linemen. So he like, was like, I want to do this, but I want to be healthy about it. And so it's so funny.
Oh my, the commitment.
I know.
Yeah.
Isn't there an episode in the season after that when he's thin again and he's in a therapist and he's like, I gained and lost 70 pounds in 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, go back to that.
Yeah, they all go visit another where it's like they're all own their perspective. And he goes in and I was like, I got really fat. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
It's a great show.
It's one of those ones like you said, it's to just one day to sit in a writer's room where they're probably just saying the funniest stuff and none of it even makes it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's all I really had.
Yeah.
We
So
kinda covered
it's
everything.
such a good show to just watch on Hulu. Just binge through it. Yeah. If you're doing anything where you can just have mindless noise on the back, it's perfect.
It's the best kind of show to have,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
All right. So do you guys just want to jump right into the trailer to look ahead for Disney Plus?
Let's do it.
All right. So we got The Mandalorian. It's a Star Wars show coming out as soon as Disney Plus comes out. So in like 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even realize it was that. I
Soon, yeah.
gotta put some money aside for
Yeah.
a subscription there.
All right. Here we go.
Or at least a free trial.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Don't you agree?
Wow. Yikes.
Wow. So that's obviously in the Star Wars universe. Is that like, was Boba Fett a Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what the premise is. It
And is
Boba
that-
Fett?
It's not, but it takes place after, I think between episode 3 and 4. So like in the original movies.
Okay.
takes place during that time, but it's not Boba Fett.
Okay.
But same idea, the bounty
Yeah.
hunter situation.
Yes.
So, Lando was in it. In the
Yeah.
trailer, Lando Calrissian from the original Star Wars. And then Giancarlo Esposito, who I really like.
From Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, yeah. He was
What was that one?
he was just one of the guys. You haven't. I know you recently started Breaking Bad. You
Yeah.
haven't seen him yet.
Okay.
He'll get introduced to him at about end of season 2, season 3 of Breaking Bad.
Okay.
That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm
It's cool that
excited.
they're going to do a show, a series of it.
Yeah.
About a Star Wars
If I'm not
thing.
mistaken, I think Jon Favreau is directing it. And so for me personally, I like Star Wars. I'm entertained by Star Wars, but I'm not a Star Wars person. So I'm sure Star Wars people have already found like flaws in that and things like that. But I'm just excited for it because it's like I understand the Star Wars world and
Yeah.
it will
I'm in
entertain
the
me.
Same boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it, but like I'm not even sure. Like, that was the Mandalorian
Yeah.
and everything. So
I had only known that because when I heard the story, like when it was announced that was going to be one of the shows on Disney Plus, it was like that's the whole bounty hunter race. Is it that? Is it?
I don't know what the
Yeah, I don't know like
word
how it
be.
would be, but like it's like you're from whatever planet. I don't know. It's something
Yeah.
like that.
And because me and my brother have always been like really into Star Wars. I'm not the type of Star Wars person where I'm like, I won't care if something is like not
Yeah.
right. There was a lot of stuff in Solo that didn't make sense, but I was cool with it. I was totally fine with it. But like when it shows the guy like frozen in the, that's like. Why am I
Han
blanking on
Solo.
his name? Well, but who's the big slug? Why am I
Jabba
blanking
the
on his
Fett.
name? Yeah,
Jabba the Hutt.
yeah.
I just said Jabba the Fett. So,
So like.
yeah.
Star Wars people turn this
Cool
off.
connection. But yeah, and I feel like they really nailed like the world. Like the budget on this show must have been insane.
Yeah.
because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a movie right there.
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, especially if it's like one of those 6-episode things where basically you're just getting a 6-hour movie.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how they release it. If they do it all at once or if it will be weekly.
I hope it's weekly.
I'm guessing it's going to be all at once because I think
Yeah.
they're going to roll out a streaming service and they want to hit
Content.
the ground running.
Yeah.
But they are Disney, and I don't know if you knew this, but they have a pretty good catalog of films.
Right, but I'm just like the new stuff. They're going to
They'll want to.
get people into right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read because they announced all the stuff that they're dropping like last week with like a thread of like 5,000 tweets just saying each movie and TV show.
Oh, wow.
They're gonna have like 500 movies, and then it was something like over like 4,000 episodes of television just as soon as it comes out. Like that's what's originally dropping.
Wow.
And then they're adding stuff,
I
obviously.
hope Even Stevens is on there.
I think it might be. They have a lot of old ones. Like
Yeah.
That's So Raven is gonna be on it, and
cool.
I'm pumped.
Luck of the Irish.
Yeah, those
That's a good
Disney
one.
Channel original movies.
But that looks sweet. I like you said, the production value looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
hit the nail on the head.
yeah,
They nailed it.
I'm excited to see what else they do because I know there was a whole string of Clone Wars. It was an animated thing, and it was actually like super popular.
It's
And
coming back.
is it? And people said it was really well done.
Yeah, I still need to watch that, but a
Yeah.
lot of my friends did.
It was on like Cartoon Network or something like
so.
that. But
I heard of that. Yeah,
people,
haven't seen it.
I had just heard. I haven't seen it either, but people said it was like really well done. Mm-hmm. So.
And then I think they have an Obi-Wan series coming out with Ewan McGregor coming back to play him.
Nice.
They have like a Road One
Love
prequel with, is it Cassian? The guy from Road One. He's gonna be coming back as himself.
Rogue Zero.
Yeah. So they got a lot of Star Wars stuff coming out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty.
It's kind of funny because it's going to all kind of take place and drop right as like the original story concludes
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that is around Christmas.
December 20th.
Yeah. It just
Who's counting?
who didn't care about the Patriots game but tuned into halftime just to watch.
Yep, that was me.
Oh, that's great.
priorities.
Yeah. But I think, as of right now, I would like to know what you guys think. I'm probably more excited for Disney Plus than I am the Apple. Like, I probably won't get Apple, and I'll wait to hear from people.
So the big one for that is going to be if Apple has, they obviously don't have their own, well, they do actually have some original content coming out, but they don't have the, like, history that Disney does. So
Right.
all this, what are they going to, you know what I mean? What are they going to roll out is, I guess, the question. If
They have
they
the-
include all of, you know, what through license, like, I don't know what they're going to have. If they have everything, then it might be like,
Well,
way to
they have
go.
the Jason Momoa show, where it looks like it's like a woodlands frontier.
right.
And then they have that morning TV show that has Steve Carell, Jennifer Aniston, and I think Nicole Kidman,
So,
or
but
no,
are you not
Reese
expecting
Witherspoon.
other
Oh.
content on there?
I don't know. I guess I don't really know. And with Disney Plus, I kind of know, like,
Well, because it's all the Disney content.
Disney and Star Wars and Marvel. So they have those, which is huge. I just haven't really heard announcements from Apple.
I guess I'm saying if it's a version of iTunes that you pay for, like, so every major movie is
Right.
on iTunes. You know what I mean? So Apple is the biggest of the companies. If they can't incorporate everything, it might be the one to go with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so, yeah, I don't know how that'll all play out. It depends on what kind of licensing they have and agreements that they've made.
Because personally,
to have these shows.
I don't see why, like, Disney would give them the rights to Marvel movies, Star Wars movies, Disney movies, because then they can make it the only place, if you want to watch Toy Story, the only place you can watch it is on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest discussion is, like,
Yeah.
how does that go? Or they can make money both ways.
Right, they could make money. Okay, yeah, get that. Well, we don't care because we're getting a percentage of it.
Right.
Or however that works.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Because either Apple's going to be this overarching service that has so much to it, or it's going to be just another like Apple News. Like, nobody really.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'll be curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think on top of I forgot about the morning talk show one. That I'm interested in. But then,
Yeah, I like everyone in that.
Yeah, and then there's also an Emily Dickinson show where Haley Steinfeld plays her.
Yes, I did see that.
And I would like to see that because I liked her, but I know I'm definitely getting Disney Plus. Like, that would be like, if I heard those two shows were really worth it, then I'd get it. But
Yeah, that's why I think I'll do the same thing. It's start with Disney Plus, because I know what I'm getting, and there's some like, you can go back and watch all the Marvel movies or Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's a nice little addition, and not to mention Pixar.
Yeah.
Like, so start
It replaces, like, collecting your own
right.
movie collection. Or
I know I'm bummed. I have like a couple Pixar movies. Like, I bought
Yeah.
Coco after it came out.
Right,
Now
me too.
and
So-
they're expensive. They're like
Yeah.
$30, even if it's just the DVD.
Yeah. So
Or the digital file is still like that much.
yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So, well, I guess we'll
All
see.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
We'll see you
More
in
to
like 2
come.
weeks.
Yeah, well-
I know. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, see how it all shakes out.
We'll have a lot to talk about on the episode that follows Disney Plus
Yeah.
Yes.
of this.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time for the next episode of Streaming.